On the road again, we're going to Florida on the road again. We've got our donuts and a tank that's full of gas. We're happy and we're on the road again.
Woo, look at how huge.
Look at how huge.
Woo-hoo.
Florida, 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 St. Augustine. Wiki Wachi Springs. Fun, sun, sand, and sea. And believe it or not, gators can sing.
First road trip of 2024, going to Florida for 15 days. We were gonna do it last year, but it didn't really work out last year.
We did too much last year already.
Yeah, and we have more than just this trip planned for this year, which I don't want to spoil it, so I won't tell you what the other trips are, but they're gonna be good ones too. Yeah, so we got 15 days in Florida. So this time, we pretty much planned out everything we want to do in Florida. There's like some things that are like too far away to do on this trip, like Miami and Key West and like Southern Gulf Coast, Panhandle. But we're gonna cover that in the future. So, but this trip is gonna be a big highlight of Central Florida. We're gonna be doing all the old Florida attractions in that part of the state. So we're stopping at Myrtle Beach tonight, and we're gonna stop at south of the border and a few other things on the way down. And then tomorrow we're stopping at some stuff in between Myrtle Beach and St. Augustine. And then we got a full day in St. Augustine. And then after that, we're going to Orlando for a few days. Then we're gonna be going to the Gulf Coast for a few days, and then back to Orlando for another few days, and then back home. But we're also doing stuff on the way back for a couple of days. So we got 2 days on the way down, almost 3 days, like 2.5 days on the way back. And I don't want to tell you everything we're doing so that like the vlogs are a surprise as they come out. But let's just say there's like a ton of different things. Like it's roadside attractions, amusement parks, theme parks, big theme parks, small amusement parks, like beaches. We're gonna do a big highlight I wanted to focus on for this trip was Old Florida, because we're gonna be doing some of the old Florida stuff. And it's kind of like part of the concept of this trip is not only like trying to fit as much stuff into 2 weeks as possible, but also I kind of want to highlight the tourism culture of, Florida's past and, what it means to different generations and different people that have been going to Florida since they were young and stuff like that, because it's been a big part of my childhood. And you went to Florida once when you were a kid, right?
My stepdad's mom was a grandma to me growing up, and one year she did surprise us with a Disney trip when I was 8, and my sister was probably around 4, so I doubt she remembers as much as I do, but my memory of it wasn't that great, and it honestly wasn't the most fun, so it was really interesting to get to revisit it as an adult and be able to choose what you want to do and how you want to spend your time, which I think made it a lot better. Sometimes big family trips can be too stressful and there's a lot of fighting and stuff, so it was nice to avoid that. But also, I had only really been exposed to traditional dark rides, the ones we like Bill Tracy and stuff like that. Those are the ones I grew up with. And now I'm very into the Haunted Mansion, which I just feel like I didn't have an opportunity to get into it before growing up. So I have a lot more appreciation for that, and I've been deep diving it, podcasts and stuff, listening about the history. So I really loved it last time we went, and now I'm so excited to get back there. And there were a lot of other parts of Disney I liked, which when I went when I was 8, that's all we did. We went to Disney. Like the Tiki Room, and unfortunately they got rid of the Country Bears recently. They'll be refurbing them. But I appreciated a lot more parts of it than I expected that I would. So I am excited to get back.
And I think that makes it kind of interesting that, Florida's been a big part of my childhood growing up. So for me, it's like a big nostalgia thing. But for you, especially with the roadside stuff and everything and different parts of Florida, it's kind of like new territory for you. And
yeah, all the things we did last time, which you guys didn't get to see, it was the first time for me, and a lot of it was rushed, so this is more in depth for sure. And I have gained a lot more of an appreciation for Universal as well. I don't even think I got to go there when I was 8. I feel like we only did Disney. Thankfully, I do remember the Great Movie Ride, because that's gone now. I'm trying to think of anything else I can remember that's gone now, because things keep changing there. At MGM, right?
yeah,
Well, Hollywood Studios.
we're not doing that. It's true.
Yeah, I do remember Tower of Terror being my favorite part, but now that seems like one of the only parts of that park that I would care about.
And yeah, I mean, outside of Disney and stuff, there's so much to do in Florida. I mean, Florida is just
Yeah, which I
definitely.
didn't realize before, and I really liked St. Augustine last time.
And going to Florida, not just being in Florida when I was a kid, but also the trip down is pretty much what got me into roadside attractions and stuff, because
That's interesting, because I didn't have a lot of exposure to that, so I wasn't aware that there was a whole lot more of the subculture outside of where we are, because in Pennsylvania, the only things I had been exposed to were Roadside America, the miniature village, and the coffee pot in Pennsylvania.
yeah, I mean, for me, south of the border was the biggest as far as roadside attractions go. That was my big my favorite attraction, because it's probably 16 hours or something like that from where we are and where I grew up to Florida. So south of the border is literally exactly in the middle of the trip. And they have all those billboards. They used to have even more billboards when you start getting around the 50-mile away marker. And I just remember getting super hyped for that, because the ride was so long down there, and being able to stop us south of the border split the trip up a lot, and it was just like a really fun, quirky thing to do. And
yeah, I actually like never even heard of that for a long time, but I guess it just depends where you've been to growing up.
yeah, and that was pretty much like my first like exposure to vintage tourism culture, vintage roadside culture. And we would stop at a lot of stuff down in Florida too. I mean, we stopped at St. Augustine almost every time we went down, so there's a lot of stuff to do there, a lot of tourist stuff. But St. Augustine, I think, is a super underrated place. Like, in my opinion, I think it's the best, one of the easily top 5 places in the country. Like, as far as like, if you're looking for a good balance of tourism and like historical stuff and dining and stuff, and it's not, and beaches. I mean, it's got some of the best beaches on the Atlantic coast. Like, St. Augustine is definitely one of the best historical places in the country, if not the best. Like, it's the best I think I've been to. Like, it's a beautiful place. And yeah, like, I would have planned 2 full days there, but we wanted, the point of this trip was to see as many different places in Florida as possible, and do as much of the stuff that we never did as possible, and also stuff that we already know that we like doing. So 2 days I think would have been a little excessive. We are staying 2 nights in St. Augustine, but we won't be getting to St. Augustine until Sunday night. So we got like basically a full day there, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun because I have a ton of attractions planned. So whether or not we'll be able to get all of them done or not is to be determined, but I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a good way to kick off the Florida part of the trip. It's going to be fun just going down. I mean, today we're stopping at a bunch of cool stuff, and tomorrow we're stopping at a bunch of cool stuff on the way down. So it's good. It's a good idea to split up your drive. If you're driving from the north, split up your trip and do stuff on the way down, because we drove through last time and it was not fun. I mean,
on the way home, we did it straight through, and do you remember my feet got swollen?
Yeah.
I've never experienced
from sitting
that
so
before.
long. Yeah.
Because we sat like 12 hours straight?
It's more than 12. It's like
14.
6. I think it was like 16 hours. Well, to St. Augustine, I think like 15 hours, something
We
like that.
we stopped at a few places on the way home.
Yeah, we stopped in Savannah on the way
That
home.
was a long day.
We had to sleep at a rest stop. But yeah, like driving through, I don't recommend driving through to Florida if you're coming all the way from the north like us.
You
Like,
realize what happens, like the blood leaves your circulation.
I don't know exactly what it is, but besides that, it's just not fun. It's just like, it's very strenuous and exhausting to do. So it's a lot better to just plan out, stop somewhere on the way down. For us, Myrtle Beach is like right in the middle, so I think Myrtle Beach is a great place to stop if you're coming from, like Pennsylvania, New York, anywhere in New England, whatever. Like, south of the border or anywhere in South Carolina is pretty much halfway, so it's a good place to stop. And stop in St. Augustine on the way down, because it's like right after you get over the state line. It's maybe like, I don't know, like half an hour to an hour to St. Augustine. From there, you gotta go around Jacksonville. It's one of the first places you can stop. And I mean, if you're going to Orlando or even like Miami or anywhere, if you're coming from 95 south, it's definitely a convenient stop. It's not like a detour or anything like that. And like I said, if you like beaches, if you like tourist attractions, if you like history, it's got all of that stuff. So Yeah, St. Augustine, maybe my favorite place in all of Florida.
I am jealous that you got to go to Universal in the 90s.
Oh my God, Universal was so good back then.
I never realized how many different rides there were that I missed out. Like Earthquake, Back to the Future, Jaws.
Well, I mean, the Disney parks, in my opinion, were better than too, but
Yeah.
Universal was completely different. Like, all the attractions were different, and they were all better.
There's
And
a few Disney things I wish I could have experienced too, like Alien Encounter. That's cool.
yeah, that was such an underrated attraction. And they're starting to get rid of a lot of the stuff at Magic Kingdom. Well, they also got rid of the Movie ride at Hollywood Studios too just recently. So I mean, a lot of the classic stuff from the 90s is getting
I remember
replaced.
liking that ride.
So if you want to experience, especially Frontierland, which I'll get more in depth with that when we do the Magic Kingdom vlog, but if you want to see what's left of Frontierland, I would get there within the next few years because there's some plans to pretty much replace everything there.
I heard they might change the Rock and Roller Coaster. Have you heard about that?
Well, yeah, it's going through a refurbishment. There's some talks about them maybe.
Switching to a different band or something.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. Either way, like having one huge attraction closed at that park is a big deal because that park only has like 5 or 6 actual rides, and like they get the longest lines out of any of the parks. And to have one of them closed creates longer waits for everything else. So that's one of the reasons we're deciding to not do that. Like, that's the only other Disney park that I feel like is worth the ticket cost. But even just like our favorite thing there is obviously Tower of Terror. That's always got like an hour and a half wait minimum. And it's like, I'm not gonna, I mean, for 2 people just to go to one Disney park, it's what, like almost $400 when you with.
For some reason, that park is what stood out the most in my memories, and maybe we spent like the most time there. But I remember I love the Tower of Terror so much, and that was also a Disney Channel original movie I grew up watching all the time. I had it on VHS, and the movie ride and the Rock and Roller Coaster. I remember liking all that stuff a lot, but I do feel like that park was better back in the day. What park was Toontown in? I do remember
Yeah,
that.
that was a Magic Kingdom. That's not there anymore. Now
I
it's
love
a
that.
circus themed thing, which I think is cool too for kids. But
It just looked like a real life cartoon.
Yeah.
Like you could walk through it all.
Yep.
That sticks out to me in my mind.
they still have a Disneyland.
I
That's
wanna
where
go
like the
there.
Roger Rabbit ride is and stuff. But yeah, I mean Disneyland.
It's a good thing we didn't plan for Disneyland right now because Haunted Mansion's down for a
Oh
long
yeah,
time.
that's right.
And I would have been so disappointed.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like my favorite thing.
Yeah, we were considering doing a California trip, but yeah, like she said, if Haunted Mansion isn't open at Disneyland, we're gonna wait. But yeah, it seems like at this point, it kind of seems like Disneyland is gonna be Disney Parks' legacy resort, where like all the old attractions are, and it seems like Magic Kingdom is going in the direction of modernizing and getting rid of that classic stuff.
They're going to feel the pressure and the need to continue to do that
With Epic Universe. And that's going to be a big focus of our vlogs at the parks, is that, you know, Orlando is going through a huge transformation currently, and it's going to, I mean, just Epic Universe opening is going to change a lot about Orlando. And, you know, we want to talk about that, and we're super excited for that. We're going to try to get there at the opening next year. So,
Another trip.
and I mean, we do like the Disney parks, but we're Universal fanboys, right?
I'm obsessed with Disney right now.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Unfortunately, I mean, like, it's a little embarrassing, but it's okay. I feel like I'm like getting to get into something that a lot of people do when they're younger.
yeah,
And I used to be like a huge I just always thought I would prefer, because I'm so into like the other dark rides. They're like so stylistically different. I just appreciated it so much more than I ever thought I would have.
Well, for me, going to Disney is about nostalgia. So the fact that they're, getting rid of a lot of the stuff that I have nostalgia for now is kind of like putting me on the fence of I'm going to be on the Universal side,
Well, that's understandable, but it is good that there is still a park that we can visit that has a lot of the legacy, like, things.
And I don't think it really needs to be said, but I mean, a lot of people have been saying it. I don't really need to, but Epic Universe is going to put a lot of heat on Disney for competition. And Disney
Kind of already said that.
Disney really doesn't have a lot planned for the future. Like,
Well, now they have to be like having the gears in motion or something.
I don't know. I think their plan is to modernize the parks, yeah, and I don't think it's a good plan. I think it's going to backfire. I think a lot more people are going to choose the IPs that Universal are going with. Disney's trying to capitalize on their modern IPs, which I don't think is a great idea because their modern IPs haven't really made them that much money. They're not that popular. And
I mean, like, we don't have children, like young children right now, obviously, but I know that like Frozen, Moana, all of those things are popular, but like, what is the longevity of those as a legacy? Like, we'll see if they stand the test of time eventually. You never know. I mean, I do know they're popular. I just don't think it's like quite as iconic as other things that they've had. And I do think it's a huge misstep to remove original things like the Country Bears, like Splash Mountain. Like, I know they're renovating it and retheming it, but that's just like some of the most classic things they had to offer.
yeah, and I mean, you're not gonna get more people to come to Disney by appeasing to the people that already are Disney fans or Disney adults. I think what they were trying to do was bring new people in when they acquired, Star Wars and Marvel and all that stuff. But a lot of people would agree that, and it's my opinion, that they kind of like dropped the ball on all that because like the Star Wars, that didn't really like appease the fans because they based it all on Mandalorian and stuff instead of the classic Star Wars. And
wasn't some of that like $1,000?
All of the what?
Wasn't that like $1,000?
Oh, you mean the Star Cruiser thing? It was more than that. It was like $4,000 or something.
Still that much?
No, they closed it because it was a failure. Yeah.
I feel like to create something like that that's so unattainable is like so out of touch.
But I'm not just talking about the Star Cruiser. I'm talking about Galaxy's Edge in general.
I didn't realize they were two separate things.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about Star Wars.
The entire Star Wars section at Hollywood Studios is based on the newer Star Wars stuff, which, from a corporate sense, that makes sense because we want to push Disney Plus. We want to advertise our Disney Plus brands and stuff. And it's like, okay, that's the decision you're gonna make, but then you're gonna ruin you're gonna totally spoil an opportunity to bring hardcore Star Wars fans to the park. Like it was a dumb choice. And then also they basically like locked themselves in, like they landlocked themselves in for future expansions by building that. So it was kind of like a dumb move. And
I didn't realize that had already failed.
Yeah, and with Marvel, they built a Marvel land at California Adventure and it's terrible. Like the theming is horrendous. The attractions they put there are not good. And it's like you had this opportunity with two different IPs to really compete with Universal and you totally screwed it up. And it's like, where are you going to go from there? You're going to focus on your Pixar and stuff IPs, and it's like those have not been doing well in the box office. Like you're going to re-theme Frontierland to Coco and Encanto, even though those did poorly. And yes, and also
in the box office.
Yeah, and Princess and the Frog never really made a lot of money either. So why would you take out your most popular attraction? And Splash Mountain was the most popular attraction in the world in history. It was the most popular attraction in world history. And they decided we're gonna replace that with an IP, one of our IPs that isn't even that successful. So it seems like, Disney's leadership is not good for the company in general, but also not good for the parks. Like they're not making good decisions, and it's gonna change the landscape of the whole theme park industry, because if Universal ends up pulling ahead of them, and that Disney's no longer holding whatever it used to be, 300% of the entire industry's sales, and all of the other competing companies combined, it's going to change everything about the industry. Like there's going to be all these other companies are going to start competing to capitalize on Disney's losses. So I mean, it's Epic Universe. It's going to change more about Orlando and the entire theme park industry than I think people even realize. Like it's a huge thing coming, and it's coming in like a year. So I mean, it's exciting, really. I mean, I don't like to see Disney fail, but at the same time, like Disney losing their monopoly is not a bad thing for the amusement industry and just tourism in general.
It's already becoming such an unattainable thing, like in general.
Oh yeah,
Talk about like the culture.
Yeah, and
in general, like a standard family isn't doing well enough anymore to be able to drop like $10,000 plus for a vacation to one theme park. I mean Disney, like all of the parks at Disney, but it's just like out of touch, and it would be nice for them to have to compete more with other parks, like you said.
And that's been a big point of discussion on social media and stuff in recent times. Like in the past year or so, there's been a lot of discussion about how expensive Disney vacations have become. But I mean, there's just so many different factors that point to Universal taking the lead. Like it's my prediction, it's a lot of other people's prediction, and yeah, I think it makes for very exciting times with tourism and stuff, because like you've had so many people just, we want to go to Disney every year, we want to
I would love to.
Maybe not every year, but like that's where they go on vacation. It's like if that becomes unobtainable, or the alternatives seem like a better option to people are going to be traveling probably to different places, because not only is Universal opening Epic Universe in Orlando, they're opening several other resorts around the world, including different spots in America. So I mean, Universal's going to change a lot about, traveling.
Yeah, I'd say even for people like us, we are lucky to have a little bit more financial freedom, because we don't have like young children right now or anything like that. But I would say we are lower middle class, and I think a lot of people are now, and I don't think it's realistic to expect people to shell out thousands at your resorts, and like the economy is just not the same anymore. So it feels really out of touch to me.
Well, another focal point of our vlog series for this trip is going to be how to do a Florida trip without spending a crazy amount of money, because we managed to plan a trip that is, like equal to or even better than staying at a Disney resort. And we're paying like for how long we're going, we're paying a fraction of what you'd pay to stay at a Disney resort. So part of the focus of our vlogs is going to be, like saving money and alternative options if you want to do a Florida trip. And not only that, it's like a lot of people just decide to fly down to Florida. You're missing out on so much if you fly down, because
it's cheaper to drive.
If you're just doing Orlando, you're missing out on so much, because when you drive, there's so much stuff on the way to Orlando that you could do. There's so much stuff, south of Orlando. There's so much stuff on the Gulf Coast. There's so much stuff you can do south of Orlando. I mean, you could rent a car. You could fly down and rent a car, but like you said, it's cheaper to just drive.
One of the reasons we're not doing Hollywood Studios is that we went back and forth on it, and basically the only thing that both of us care about a lot anymore is Tower of Terror, and with the wait times and the price just for that park, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, to be honest, there's really nothing at the other parks that gets me excited enough to spend anywhere close to the
I
ocean.
do remember Animal Kingdom. I don't think like anyone could forget that theater with the boats coming on.
Yeah.
But that's like not really my thing.
Animal Kingdom's not my jam. Every time I've gone, I was like underwhelmed. There's not enough to do there.
I think it was fun when I was a kid, but like I just don't care enough to do that as an adult.
I don't care about Avatar, and that's another example of Disney dropping the ball on.
How much was that animatronic?
Their competing IPs. Yeah,
they spend millions
just that one animatronic and the Navi ride, and that's not even the popular ride there. The popular ride is the
that's insane.
What is it called? Flight of Passage, and that is basically a screen-based ride. The other ride costs a hell of a lot of money to build, and nobody even cares about it. And I mean, who cares about Avatar? Like, talk about like choosing a non what's the word, like a non evergreen IP. Like, that's already, I mean, it was already dead. Like, by the time they built it, nobody cared about it then. So it's like, now, how many years has it been now? Who cares about Avatar? And who's gonna care about The Mandalorian or like the new Star Wars stuff that, 10 years from now, nobody's gonna care. Everybody's still gonna care about the original Star Wars trilogy. And I've heard that, there's only one possible way that they could ever expand at Hollywood Studios, and that's to tear down Star Tours, the entire building.
Oh my
and
god!
That's
what a loss.
probably what they're gonna do, because they have the other they have Galaxy's Edge. Star Tours is outdated. That's the only thing that's based on the original trilogy that they got, and that's gonna. I mean, it's just, every decision they make is bad. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to.
Why do they seem like so misguided? Right
because the company has been taken over by corporate yes men who have no clue how to maintain the legacy of the company, and they have no idea. They are totally out of touch with their customer base, and everything is very profit motivated. That's why the cost of everything's gone up. That's why there's so many things that people complain about, as far as extra costs and just various issues that cause
That's the
less
thing.
than.
I've gotten very into Disney talk.
Yeah, me too. I've been listening to some
But
podcasts.
yeah, you'll sit there and like hear me listen to these videos. Something that's like a little infuriating is that they're trying to funnel their marketing into like giving free trips to these influencers now, which is one thing if you're like a travel vlog channel or something like that, and that's like your audience. But I see them giving these free trips to like family influencers or just individuals that are rich already and have families, and it's like you're trying to advertise with that, but to the regular person,
Just
like, it's
just
not
the
inspiring.
things like the Star Cruiser and stuff. It's just proof that the company is like trying to target rich families
They are trying
because
to
they
target
they
families.
know that the parks have been over capacity for a long time, and instead of doing what the smart decision would be to solve that would be build more attractions, to
Just seeing them like give a week-long vacation to a family that's already rich for free,
Yeah.
to try and like advertise it to your regular family. It's not the same market it used to be, not the same like economy. It's just kind of
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things you could find to complain about with Disney. You could talk about it all day. There's hundreds of things that you could talk about, but I mean, the company is obviously being very poorly managed in the past, 10 years or whatever. It's sad to see, and it's like I want to be on their side because I want
I would love a good comeback.
everything that I loved as a kid, I want to see be preserved, but it's like they're not doing that. So like I feel like they deserve criticism now more than ever as far as the parks go, and especially since Universal's bringing the heat on them now. But yeah, we'll get more into that as we do the Orlando stuff. There's so much more than just Orlando on this trip. Yeah, the world doesn't revolve around Orlando. Florida has like a ton of great stuff, and one of the points of this trip is to show that you can have a trip to Florida and do stuff in Orlando, but if you spread it out, you can spend a lot less money and have a much better time doing different things instead of just staying in Orlando for a week or two like a lot of people do. Because Florida has got so much stuff. It's like, why spend a whole, like for how much you would spend at Disney for only like 2 days, you could do a whole week of other stuff in Florida. So that's going to be a big part of this trip. So we'll talk more about that too. So yeah, now we're headed to Glen Echo Park. It's our first stop on the trip. It's in Maryland. It's an old, not really abandoned. It's not abandoned. It was an amusement park from the turn of the century era to the 60s. And I'll talk more about it when we get there, but it's going to be a cool first stop, I think. So we'll see you there. All right, we're here at Glen Echo Park in Glen Echo, Maryland. Looks pretty cool so far from what I've seen. Yeah, across this bridge here, you park over there. Oh, look at the carousel building up there. That looks so cool. Yeah, I've wanted to go here for a long time, just never got around to it. It's a little bit of a drive from where we are. It is open occasionally. They do have the carousel running some days of the year. But yeah, there's a bunch of preserved, streamlined, modern buildings here, which I think maybe streamlined modern is my favorite type of architecture. Do you like streamlined modern and Art Deco and stuff?
Yeah, it's supposed to come back now because we're we're in the 20s.
I hope so. It's the best era of architecture by far. I don't know what these buildings are here. Kind of weird looking. I don't think they're old though. They don't look that old. Maybe old, but not as old as the other ones. But yeah, they have like businesses and stuff in some of these buildings, like they do events and stuff here, and there's a lot of like art galleries and like stuff where they have like, you know, classes and stuff like that. And I think there's an aquarium here that's open some days, maybe the weekends, I'm not sure. But yeah, here's the carousel building. (1921) Denzel carousel. And yeah, I'm assuming that's the original carousel still in there.
It opens up the day after my birthday.
Check this out. It's popcorn building. That's really cool. So yeah, this park opened in 1902, and it was open from then until the 60s. It's had a lot of different things that happened throughout its history. Most notably, it was a segregated park that had a sit-in demonstration here at the carousel in, I think, 1966. And yeah, it led to the park becoming unsegregated, which is awesome. And
That's cool. That's where they protested.
yeah, they did a sit-in on the carousel. There's some event over here. No, I don't think the bumper cars are in there anymore. They use that as an event space. But yeah, look at these buildings are amazing right here. Oh my god. So cool. Arcade. So yeah, and I think 1969 is when the park closed, and right after it closed, the county took over the property and then preserved all these buildings. And then just not that long ago, I think like in 2010, they renovated a lot of these buildings. But yeah, there's a art glass center here. There's an aquarium. I don't know what the puppet co. I guess it's puppet arts. Oh yeah, it's like a puppet arts.
That's so cute.
Building. That's cool. I mean, I'm sure there's not that many places that specialize in puppet arts out there. Here's the little cuddle up building. That's a really cool one. They got like a theater academy here. The Washington Conservatory of Music. Here's one of those old fountains. These were popular in the turn of the century. All the amusement parks in the turn of the century had one of these. And yeah, this big building here where all these businesses are is one of the coolest ones. The way they have these like towers, and it was just like the ultimate era of architecture, like all the streamlined, modern style architecture. Some of the best. And there's really not a lot of examples of it left, so. One of my favorite features of Streamline Modern is like the windows that have all the little compartments. Whatever you call that. It's like glass work or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the cuddle up was like a kind of like the whip ride, you know. So yeah, they're doing like some kind of like workout event thing here in the old bumper cars building. And we got the ballroom building over here. This one's a different style. This is more like Spanish Renaissance or something. Yeah, I don't know if this one was built later. Okay, so here's the amazing entrance. So cool the way they have those archway things. And then you got the streamlined modern windows over there. And then this stone building over on the other side. Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what all they did when they restored this place in, I think it was 2010, but it's crazy how well preserved these buildings are. And there was like a little candy building over here, candy corner. Dude, the entrance is amazing. No, I didn't get that yet.
That's really cute.
There's another shot of the carousel building from the other side. This popcorn building here. This place is so cool. Okay, so here's the crystal pool. Awesome entrance. I'm not sure if you can get a shot of the inside of there or not. Maybe from up here. Can you get in there? I don't know. Maybe around here. Yeah, here's where the pool was. Yeah, I don't know. I guess this part in the middle was the actual pool here. It wasn't really that big, actually. But yeah, what an awesome entrance. Out of all the buildings, I think that one is in the need of more upkeep and care than the other ones, but it's still awesome that it's standing here. So yeah, here's a little map of the grounds here. Spanish ballroom, that's where we just were, and the pool. I guess maybe the arcade building is still used as an arcade, or what was that over there? I don't know. I know one of these buildings is like an aquarium. I don't know what the Hall of Mirrors, where was that? That said it was behind the bumper car pavilion. I didn't see that. Oh, it's that little building back there. It's not really anything that special looking. But yeah, the coolest things are the entrance and the carousel building and this big building over here. I mean, that Art Deco, streamlined, modern style is amazing. So yeah, this is definitely worth a stop. It's not, I mean, it's right off of 95. I think it was maybe, what, like a 15-minute detour off of I-95. And yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to check this out for a few years since I knew about it. There's not really too many places you can see like well-preserved, streamlined, modern buildings. So there's something over here, but I don't think it's like old buildings. These like little like yurt things are not old. Yurt. I mean, they may be like 40 years old or something. Yeah. I mean, they look like maybe they're from like the 70s or something, right? Yeah, it's a nice place to just take a walk. Or, I mean, they have events here and classes and stuff. It's cool that they have like a puppet theater class, right? You don't see that everywhere. Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have to have a reason to come here. I mean, if you just want to take a walk, it's nice. But if you appreciate Art Deco architecture. Oh, this is the aquarium over here.
The ship.
Yeah, there's like a little ship tree house for kids to play in and all this like aquarium stuff, photo ops and stuff. And that's like an actual like small aquarium over there. So yeah, this is a cool place. It'd be awesome if they brought it back as an amusement park, like with more than just the carousel, but it's cool that they still have the carousel here at least. And it's cool that this appears to be a popular community park, right? There's a lot of people here, like at least 100 people, right? I don't know what all those people were doing in the... What were they doing in the bumper car building? Like, don't say that. There's like a trestle bridge over there, and then this bridge is pretty cool too. It's got like that trestle style. I'll bet a train went through here before, right? Either like a full-size train or like a... Because this was a trolley park. Some other interesting things about this place's history is that in 1918, some guy died on the one coaster. And I guess there was only one coaster here in the park's history, but and also this parking lot flooded in the late 70s or late 80s. I think it was like 89, and all the cars that were parked here got like carried away into the stream there, I guess. But yeah, really cool spot and very scenic and historic. Definitely worth a stop. Alright, so we just left Glen Park. That was a really cool stop, right? Like even cooler than I thought. Definitely worth checking out. Man, it actually is like nice out today. And we're like trying to be snowbirds and get away from the cold weather. Like it was freezing cold last week. It snowed and everything.
I'm not trying to get away.
I just think it's interesting that we get a heat front coming through where we are up in the north, and we're going down to Florida, and it's going to be like in the 60s back home. So it's just kind of interesting. It's only going to be like 10, 15 degrees warmer down there. But yeah, it's good because then it's like warmer for us to do this stuff on the way down, so it's not really complaining. Yeah, so now we're headed to the Wallace Simpson Rolling Park. We got about 3 hours to go, and then we got another 3 hours after that to get to the south of the border. So we got a lot of driving to get. So yeah, we'll see you there, Wallace Simpson.